The garden is really beginning to produce food, and today we are harvesting beets to make one of my favorite treats, pickled beets. My dear cousin Robyn gave me this delicious recipe, and it's the best I've ever tasted. The original recipe calls for 3 pounds of beets, but you can adjust it for the amount that you have. Most of these beets aren't quite ready yet, but many are the perfect size. I like beets that are about 1.5 to 2 inches in diameter so they can be cut in half for chunky beets. You can also slice your beets to pickle them. As beets grow, the tops of the root is exposed so you can see about how big they are before you pull them. Push the greens aside so you can see if the beet is the size you want. Then grasp the bottom of the leaves and pull straight out slowly. This will cause the least disturbance to the surrounding beets, and they will continue to grow until they reach a good size for your next batch of pickled beets. Yes, I sow very densely because I want lots of beets. I just don't want them all at the same time. This is my method of thinning the beets. Now that we have a good basket full of beets, it's time to start the pickling process. Before you start, fill your water bath canner about 3/4 full and set it on the stove to heat. You will want your hot water ready to go when your jars are filled. If the water in your canner starts to boil before the jars are ready to go in, just turn the heat down to a simmer. Beets will stain your hands and your clothing, so you will want to wear an apron or old clothes so that you don't ruin your favorite shirt. You may also want to wear gloves, but lots of soap and water and maybe a little lemon juice should take care of those stains. The first thing you need to do to prepare your beets is to cut off the beet greens. Don't throw these away. You can chop them up and throw them in a salad, saute them for a side dish, or dehydrate them, make a powder, and add this to your soups and stews for extra nutrition. Next, scrub those beets well. Beets grow in the ground, so you will need to get all the soil off before you process them. If you have excess soil on them, rinse them off outside before you clean them in the sink. You don't want that dirt going down your drain. Cook the beets whole until they are just tender, which means you can slide a knife into the beet fairly easily, but you don't want them too soft. Once they are tender, move them to a bowl of ice water to stop the cooking process. Let them sit in the ice water until they are cool enough to handle comfortably. At this point, the beet skin should slip off easily. Once you have your beets cleaned up, you can cut them into bite-sized chunks or slices, whichever you prefer. Now it's time to make the pickling brine. For every 3 pounds of beets, you will need 3 cups of the beet water you just boiled the beets in, 2 cups of vinegar, either apple cider vinegar or distilled vinegar, whichever you prefer, 1 1/2 cups of sugar, and 2 teaspoons of pickling spice. Adjust the amount of brine you make to the weight of the beets that you have. Bring this to a boil, then add your prepared beets to the brine. Bring the liquid back to a boil, then pack your hot jars with the hot beets, leaving a generous 1/2 inch of headspace. At this point, you may want to add a cinnamon stick to each jar for added flavor, but if you don't like cinnamon, you can leave this out. Cover the beets with the hot brine and bring the level up to 1/2 inch of headspace. 3 pounds of beets will make about 4 pints of pickled beets. After all your jars are packed, wipe the rims down with a wet cloth, place the lids and rings on the jar, and tighten the rings to just finger tight. Place the jars in the canner containing the hot water. Because of the vinegar, this is a high acid food and can be water bath canned instead of pressure canned. Make sure that the water level is 1 to 2 inches over the tops of the jars to ensure they are processed properly for long-term storage. Bring the water to a boil and process for 30 minutes, adjusting the time for your altitude. After 30 minutes of boiling, turn the heat off, remove the lid, and let everything sit for 5 minutes. Then carefully move the jars from the water to a cooling rack or towel on the counter. Do not put the hot jars on a cold surface or you risk breaking your jars. Leave your jars to sit for 12 to 24 hours while the jars seal. Beets are not only delicious, but they are also packed with a plethora of health benefits. They are rich in vitamins and minerals like folate, vitamin C, manganese, potassium, and magnesium, which contribute to a healthy heart, brain, and immune system. Beets are also a good source of dietary fiber, which helps digestion and promotes a healthy gut. Did you know that dark color in fruits and vegetables indicates that they are high in antioxidants? Eating beets can help fight inflammation and protect against chronic diseases. Beets are one of the best sources of natural nitrates, which is essential for your body to produce nitric oxide, a substance that helps regulate blood pressure, increases blood flow throughout the body, improves memory, helps regulate body temperature, helps destroy harmful bacteria to fight infections, and may slow aging. Eating beets is good for you. Thank you for stopping by the old Mayfield place today. Let me know how you like Robyn's pickled beets, and have a blessed week.